In today's world of barcode tracking and highly automated processes, it's becoming increasingly critical to add a barcode quality control step into the manufacturing system to help achieve the benefits of automatic data capture and ensure readability of barcodes throughout the supply chain. Did our barcode fail for simple contrast? This is simple. Is the difference between light and dark enough to provide a clear view for the scanner? Minimum reflectance, RMIN, is a check that the bars are dark enough relative to the spaces. Bars must be half the reflectance of the background or less. It's really the same thing as contrast, but differently expressed. A failure for contrast or RMIN is simply corrected by increasing the difference between light and dark. Sometimes a shiny label may have contrast problems. See if it can be made less shiny. Next, the verifier assesses the minimum edge contrast by examining the contrast between each dark edge and the light edge touching it. If this is too low, then that edge may not be discernible to a scanner. The edge with the weakest contrast is identified. The contrast along this edge will be reported in the parameters that will make up the scan grade. Good contrast and clean, clear edges should make for a good result. If not, contrast and print quality need improving. Excessive bar gain, translucent and reflective substrates also give poor edge contrast. Modulation is assessed. Remember the comparison with music? The smoothness of the changes between notes. But we're thinking of the smoothness of the change in reflective peaks. Scanners will always tend to see bars and spaces as being narrower than they really are, and the lowest modulation grade in any scan will always relate to the narrow space that's hardest to see. A poor modulation result may be due to bars being too wide relative to spaces, so the bar width reduction could be increased. Generally, poor modulation is linked to poor edge contrast. Here too, good contrast and clean, clear edges should make for a good result. If not, contrast and print quality need improving. Defects are dark spots on what should be light areas or vice versa. If they're too big, they'll create a spike or a dip in the profile that will cross the global threshold and appear to be a bar or a space that shouldn't be there. See the little spike sticking up from the baseline in the centre? That's a defect, a light feature in what should be a wide dark bar. You can see that if it were to go high enough to touch the global threshold, it would look like a narrow space to the verifier. Yet there is no space there, or shouldn't be. To avoid defects, ink should be dark and even on the bars, and the background should be clean and evenly coloured in white or some other colour that is lighter than the bars. A warning. Some materials that look clean to the human eye may have variations in texture that look mottled to a scanner. To assess the decode parameter, the verifier asks itself, am I sure that ordinary scanners in the world at large will be able to scan this? There is no grading for this. The answer is either yes, reported as an A, or no, reported as an F. Decode takes into account character encoding, check digits, and light margins. If you get an F here, then the barcode is in trouble. You need to analyse the report to see which parameter or parameters are failing and advise the company how to correct any problems you find. Decodability sounds the same, but is importantly different. This time the verifier asks itself, how easily decodable is this barcode? It examines each character in the barcode to see how closely it complies with the specifications concerning the relative widths of the bars and spaces. For example, a 4 in EAN 13 is one dark bar and one background space, each the same width, followed by a dark bar 3 times as wide and then a background space twice as wide. The verifier compares each 4 character in the barcode being assessed. We see that in this case there's an irregular width error across the symbol, so it won't be as easily decodable as it would have been if all the widths were correct. It will achieve a lower decodability grade. Decodability failures are due to irregular bar width errors. These must be corrected.